There is a battle that millions fight in silence every single day. It is the relentless, wearying, and often invisible war against chronic pain or illness. It's more than just a physical sensation. It's an exhaustion that seeps into your soul. It's the grief for the life you used to have, for the abilities you've lost. It's the frustration of your own body feeling like a prison. It's the quiet loneliness that comes when others with good intentions can't possibly understand the daily grind of your reality. And in this place of suffering, the spiritual questions can become deafening. God, why me? If you are a healer, why won't you heal me? Have I done something wrong? Do I not have enough faith? Well-meaning people might even suggest this, heaping guilt on top of your pain. You can begin to feel forgotten by the God who promised to be a comforter. If you are living in this reality today, I want to speak directly to your weary heart. Your pain is real, your grief is valid, and your questions do not offend the God who created you. He is not distant from you in your suffering. He is, in fact, closer than you can possibly imagine. The Apostle Paul, a giant of the faith, understood this reality intimately. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, he speaks of a thorn in my flesh, a persistent affliction that tormented him. Many scholars believe this was a chronic physical ailment. Paul, this man of incredible faith who healed others, pleaded with the Lord 3 times to take it away. He begged for relief. And what was God's answer? It was not the healing Paul asked for. God's answer was no, but it was a no wrapped in a world-changing promise. God said to him, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Let this truth sink into the deepest parts of your soul. God's power is not just displayed in the miraculous removal of our suffering, it is often most perfectly and beautifully displayed in the midst of it. The goal was not to make Paul strong by removing the thorn. The goal was to make Paul a vessel for God's strength because of the thorn. God's grace was enough. It was sufficient for the pain. It was sufficient for the struggle. And Paul's response to this revelation changes everything. He says, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. For when I am weak, then I am strong." He learned to see his affliction not as a liability, but as the very stage upon which God's power could be most clearly seen. This doesn't mean we stop praying for healing. We should always bring our desires for healing to our loving Father, but it does mean that our faith is not dependent on receiving that healing on this side of eternity. Our faith is dependent on the goodness of a God whose grace is always sufficient for the moment we are in. Sometimes in our suffering, God doesn't give us an explanation, but He gives us a deeper revelation of Himself. The man Job lost everything: his health, his family, his wealth. His friends came and offered easy, wrong answers for why he was suffering. But in the end, God never explained the why to Job. Instead, He revealed His own majesty, His own power, His own sovereignty. And Job's response was, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." The suffering, as terrible as it was, became the catalyst for a more profound and personal encounter with God than he had ever known. Your pain might not bring you the answers you want, but it can bring you a nearness to God you never thought possible. And never forget that our Savior is a God who understands pain. Isaiah 53 describes him as a man of suffering and familiar with pain. For he endured the agony of the cross. He is not a distant, unfeeling deity. He is a high priest who can empathize with our weaknesses. When you cry out in pain, you are crying out to a God who knows personally what it feels like to hurt. So how do we live with hope in the middle of a battle that doesn't seem to end? First, be honest with God. Lament. Pour out your heart to Him. Tell Him you're tired, you're angry, you're frustrated. Look at the Psalms. They are filled with these raw, honest cries. This honesty is a form of worship. Second, pray for your daily grace. Don't be overwhelmed by the thought of facing a lifetime of this pain. Just focus on today. Pray, Lord, give me your sufficient grace to get through this hour, to endure this wave of pain. Live in the daily bread of His strength. Third, ask God to reveal your purpose within your pain. Your illness may have closed some doors, but God can open others. Your suffering has given you a depth of compassion and understanding that healthy people cannot possess. You may be called to be a powerful intercessor in prayer, a source of profound encouragement to others who suffer, a beacon of faith that shines brightly, not in spite of your weakness, but because of it. Your life has immense purpose right now, just as you are. And finally, hold tightly to the eternal perspective. This body, this pain, this life, it is temporary. The Apostle Paul said, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." And in Romans 8 he writes, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." Your pain has an expiration date. There is a day coming, promised to us in Revelation 21, when God will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Eyes, a new, perfect, glorified body is waiting for you. This is our living hope. It does not deny the reality of our present suffering, but it anchors our soul in the certainty of our future glory.